everybody. A couple new additions this year to the Freddie Hornback Museum. This is actually we'll start here. I was actually given a copy of this. I believe this was the Glen, not the four, I think it was Glenford 100 at Iceland. Al D'Angelo still driving the X3. Freddie, you can see, still has the old-fashioned Cromwell helmet in the car. This would have been, this is around 19, I believe it to be exactly 1958. This is Fred later on, many years later on. You can see early Fred, as I call this. Followed by, obviously a colorized photo there too. Followed by, this was actually the first X89. Fred was originally just 89. 1962. Here's a progression of cars. You can see, I think this is actually at, I believe that might be a Trent or a Langhorne, and they're actually working on the race cars in the parking lot. Long time ago, 1964. Followed by the progression over the years of all the different X89s. This is actually kind of cool. Back then, you got, doesn't sound like much by 2025 standards, you got $50, no matter where you finished, if you had a car that resembled a street car. So that's a Ford Falcon, and that's actually a Chevy too that Fred had. Followed up by All-Star League. This is actually a cool, I believe there's an All-Star League photo with Jerry, NASCAR Hall of Fame, Jerry Cook and Fred. You can see back in those days, don't look like a lot of race cars they race today. They raced 5, 6, sometimes 7 days a week, so you can see the battle scars on the car from back then. What's cool about this shot is, so this would have been around 1967, 68, and then this is 1972, not when Fred drove part-time for Butch Masika. Obviously a newer car for Jerry Cook. This is at Martinsville at one of the, back then I think it was a 500 lapper, and then they made it a 250, the car 500, 250. Followed by, here's a cool shot. This is Fred. He started racing when he was 16. This is Fred at 17 years old. And this is, the photo next to it is Fred 33 years ago in 1992. Actually, I'll say that's the end of the racing season for us in 1992. 33 years ago, with our X90 that we have here tonight in Rivet Racing. This is, I have things on display at home, fire suits, helmets. Nobody's gonna see them unless they come hang out at what I call the Fred Cave. This is actually a fire suit that Fred wore at Daytona in 1977, 77, 78. This is a helmet that Fred gave me that when you won back then, when Orange Winston Racing Series, when you won a championship, they gave you helmets. This is a championship helmet I have. Fred's racing shoes, he wore a Hush Puppy. This is actually Fred's last pair of Hush Puppies that he wore, which people are probably gonna laugh, but the big bottom of these Hush Puppies are very similar to what a modern day, like, pulled out of last year's racing shoe from my cabinet, and it has the same bottom. So, and these shoes are, you're talking about, again, 33, 34, 35 years old, so it's kind of cool. They're not pretty to look at, like racing shoes today, but they're certainly functional. Then just throughout the rest of the trailer, I know some of the photos can be hard to pick out because it might be a little dark, but all the patches we have in here, they're all real patches, vintage patches, All-Star League. Stafford Springs Motor Speedway, aka Stafford. It was originally called Stafford Springs Motor Speedway. An old NASCAR patch that they wear on the fire suits, obviously. All the different, actually, so there you go, the Daytona 77 shot. Actually, if you can get this, this might be cool. This is Fred actually at Daytona. It's 1975, which I have his 1975 fire suit coming. That's Bobby Allison, who Fred was leading him. Bobby Allison blew his motor up. Fred ended up, he was up to fourth, And then he lost third gear, and it was partial road course, so he ended up still pulled off for 7th place, which was pretty cool for Daytona. Actually, there's a blow up the shot right there with Fred and Bobby Allison, night 75. They were actually good pals.
You got this one, right?
This is actually Fred was inducted back in January into the New Jersey Racing Hall of Fame, which is pretty cool. And there's some old stuff, fan club stuff. There you go, 1963. I guess if you want to, if you raced for NASCAR, they gave you NASCAR International, which is cool. Here's some cool stuff. Some is iced up, some is good old Riverhead right here, Riverhead Raceway. I think that's Bill Deacon, Fred, that's our Coney Express, so I see Macbeth, so it's probably 85. Bobby Park, Fred and Bobby Park again. Our very own, our Pinto, which we have, Wayne Anderson, Wayne again. This is Trenton. That's a Trenton shot. Here's an interesting Fred tidbit. When Trenton was a 1 mile track, Fred actually owned, and they made it a 1.5 miles. Fred actually owns a track record for when it was a 1 mile track, which actually I think that's why I have this up here. Fred Harback, 1968. I can't, my eyes are not what they used to be. Top qualifier, and you can see some of the names on there. Jeff Bodine, just for ring a bell. Anyway, hope you enjoyed our trailer. Come visit us sometime whenever, at any racetrack we're at, especially Riverhead Raceway. I'd love to have you. Come mingle, come see all of our stuff.